Okay, hello everyone. I think we can start, right? So, this is the final lecture of this course, right? So, we have to cover one topic about cloud computing, and then definitely we would be revising. If you have any question regarding this course, then definitely I would try to answer it. So in the previous week, and in fact for last 2 weeks, we are discussing about network security, right? Cyber security and cyber attacks. So if you have any question regarding cyber security or cyber attacks, you can ask. So any question? No question? But you can understand the importance of cyber security, right? Like during this semester, we have witnessed one thing, that when we have cyber attack, obviously our services were down, right? Blackboard was down for a few weeks. Then it took almost like 7 weeks or 6 weeks at least to resume all the services at NUIG, right? So we also discussed denial of service attacks. So denial of service attacks are very similar to that. Like you can attack on some services, and obviously if they are unable to provide services, then obviously it would be loss of revenue. And we have also seen like Facebook was down for few hours, right? So in terms of networks and communication, because this course is more about businesses, and we know that nowadays if businesses want to expand, it is quite impossible nowadays that without internet or without using internet applications, they can expand, right? Like businesses around 100 years ago or 50 years ago, it is possible for that business to compete at least at national level without using network technologies or internet technologies. But nowadays it is not possible. You can see even we have retail, we have different brands. Even they are not Irish brands, they are from US, they are from UK or France or some other countries, but they can easily sell their products in Ireland as well, right? Same is the case with other countries as well, like they can sell their products in other countries. Even many of the companies or businesses don't have any physical offices in that country, right? One example could be, can anyone tell any example of a business like which has no branch or no office in some particular country, but they are getting revenue or they are selling products in that country? Any example of business? You are business people, right? Don't say we are not. So any example in different courses or even in your practical life? One example could be Amazon, right? Amazon has no office in terms of sales. They do have data centers, we will discuss today, in Ireland. But in terms of sales or in terms of warehouse sort of thing, right now they are planning to, they have opened one warehouse in Dublin, but till now, like for last 20 years, there was no as such office, sales office, right? Or obviously they don't have any store or some sort of in shopping mall or something, right? So internet is very important nowadays for businesses if they want to expand, even for farmers, for other sort of people, because they have to sell their products, okay? And even not if they don't want to sell their products, obviously they still need internet for marketing, for communication, or for some other stuff. Okay. So no question regarding cybersecurity. Okay. There was one report about cybercrime published recently on RTE and some other news journals as well. Have you read or any idea about that report of cyber crimes in Ireland? For last year, it was published recently, but it was about 2020. No? No news? No interest in news? That's good, but okay. So basically, according to that report, cybercrime cost Irish economy around 9.6 billion euro last year. Okay, it's around 10 billion euro. And you know, this loss or some sort of thing cost is documented, and roughly it would be 10 billion euros or 20 billion euros. Okay, more than 10 billion euros, but obviously many people don't report or something, right? Even they don't know that they have become victim of some cyber crime. Okay, until and unless they are checking their bank statements regularly, and or might be after 1 year when businesses would be doing some sort of audit, they will know that okay, we were also a victim of 10,000 euro or 5,000 euro. Okay, so according to that report, around 10 billion euro. The only thing, Irish economy. This Irish economy is obviously very, very small as compared to other countries, other big countries, right? So you can imagine how this cybercrime is costly for US, for UK, for Germany, for France, right? So that's why people are investing in cybersecurity sort of thing. And you people, because you are learning businesses, how to run businesses, how to manage or how to produce some sort of business analytics sort of thing. But if you have some idea about cybersecurity, then definitely you can also contribute in this area as well. Okay, so there's no need as such of so much technicality. Computer science people are there for technical handling, but at least at policy making or some sort of strategy analysis sort of thing, you people can contribute. Okay, so similarly in last week we discussed different sort of viruses, worms, right? So ransomware attacks, worms, right? So the attacks alone and the cost of fixing them accounted for 2 billion euros. Out of this 10 billion, only 2 billion euro was for ransomware attacks. Similarly, for computer viruses, they cost 1.3 billion euro, and phishing attacks, they were 1 billion euro. Who will tell what is a phishing attack?
It's when they send a link that might catch your attention, and then you click on the link and you can enter your details, like bank details.
Yeah. So email would be very similar that you would be getting from your bank in the past, right? But the link in it was not AIB link or some other Bank of Ireland or some other bank, right? So phishing attacks are just like you are logging in Facebook, and obviously especially in public area or at the airport, you would be opening Facebook page, and login page would be 100% same as the Facebook page that you were using previously, but it was coming from some other link. Okay, so if you provide your username and password on that link, it will go to some hacker username password database. Okay, and it's very easy, like in 5 minutes or 10 minutes I can make any phishing attack for any website. 5-10 minutes, not more than 5-10 minutes. And imagine even if 10,000 people, if I can send that link to 10,000 people and only 100 people clicked on it and provided information, it's still a win-win situation for me. I have had, or I have compromised login of 100 people. Now I can do anything. I can blackmail them. I can take pictures of, I can take pictures from their Facebook account or from their Facebook friends, right? And there are so many cases, especially in US, people are doing this sort of thing. And that's why this phishing attack is costing 1 billion euro only for Irish economy. I'm not talking about some sort of personal use people, or it's just about economy sort of thing, okay? So overall analysis is that it claims that there was a 50% increase in online crime in Ireland in 2020 for the whole year. So this increase is 50%. But even in 2021, almost 11 months have been passed, right? This increase is more, should be 75% or could be 100% because of COVID and all the stuff. People are using more internet-based applications, doing online shopping, so they are more prone to cyber attack victims, right? So that's why this cybersecurity is very important. So if economy, like if one economy is losing like 10 billion euro per year and it's keep increasing, it's some sort of exponential increase. You can see 50% increase is too much. Even if that 50% still remains for 2021, it means that in this year we would be losing around 15 billion euros, right? That's too much. So that's why we have to invest in cybersecurity. We have to train different students and different degrees. And NUIG is planning to some sort of start new degrees in cybersecurity. So it would be definitely, it is a need of businesses, definitely, right? So this is some statistics about cybercrime that are happening around us. So this course is very related to businesses and networks and internets. And obviously we should know that how internet works, and hopefully this course will give you some idea, right? Believe me, it's a very difficult course for even computer science people, okay? They don't like it. No one in the world like this course, right? So, but because it's quite technical, okay? They have hundreds of terms, they have hundreds of protocols, but it's a very important course. We should have some idea, okay, how internet is working, why it's important for businesses, and especially in terms of cybersecurity, this sort of thing. So we know that we have so many internet connected devices, right? And obviously these internet connected devices are producing data. How many of you are using iCloud or Google Drive or OneDrive regularly? Almost all. Is it useful or no? Yeah. It is, right? So most of the time these drives are coming free of cost, because you are using, if you are using Apple, obviously you would have some 5 GB capacity for iCloud sort of thing initially without any cost. Same is the case with OneDrive. For NUIG staff and student, it's 1 terabyte capacity sort of thing, right? And for Google Drive, what is the capacity? 100 GB? 100 GB, okay. So I think that's more than enough, because obviously you know that this laptop, and if I'm going to purchase this laptop, then they will ask, okay, you will have to get 256 GB hard disk free, of course, but if you want to expand it to 512 or 1 terabyte, you have to add 200 euros or 300 euros. And I don't think so we have to pay now on these hard disk cost for hardware sort of thing, because we can easily configure and we can easily use cloud drives different. And it's very easy, because if I'm changing this laptop after a few months or something, it's very easy that my data is on the cloud and I can copy paste from there over the internet, right? So that's good. You people are using one application of cloud computing. So today's lecture is about cloud computing, like why we require this sort of thing. And it's very good that you people already have very clear idea that how to use what is at least one application of cloud computing. But other than storage, what else do you think cloud computing can provide? Take 15 seconds and think. Or if you are facing some sort of problems while using your computer, what do you think? Just like hard disk, what other services that this cloud computing should provide? Just think. Because in terms of businesses, when you would be joining some organizations, or even might be you would be running your own business, then obviously you would be facing different problems in terms of this internet sort of thing, or data sort of thing, computation sort of thing, right? Then this cloud computing may help you. Okay, so yeah.
If you have people working internationally, they can just get access to data from anywhere with the cloud.
Okay. Yeah. Do you use
Or
an
VPN.
sorry?
Or is that VPN? With the VPN?
Okay. Yeah, VPN service, virtual private networks. What else? Do you know one website named as Overleaf? Overleaf, no? Okay, because you are BS student, but might be when some of you would be doing your postgraduate studies sort of thing, then obviously this website is providing very good collaboration tool, because people can, obviously when you would be researching, you would be one team, right? And you have to write some documents. So just like Google is also providing documents and sheets and docs online, right? Google Docs. So same is the case with Overleaf. Over the cloud computing facility, they are providing so that you can share your documents with each other. You can collaborate with each other. Okay, so you can write different journals or papers, conference papers, right? So we have so many examples. So we have so many interconnected devices, and obviously these internet connected devices are now can share data, and sometimes they don't have so much capacity to compute. Like my mobile phone or my smartphone cannot done some sort of computing intensive job, right? For example, I cannot run MATLAB on my mobile or some other softwares, heavy softwares, okay? But instead of sitting on my laptop and installing so many applications and then running that sort of thing is quite time taken, and obviously it could be costly if we talk about licenses, because these licenses are expensive and usually they are for 1 year. For example, there is one assignment, and this assignment will take only 1 hour or 2 hours, but that software license is for 1 year. Would it be cost effective if you have to use that software only for 2 or 3 hours in a whole year to purchase that 1 year license? No, right? So, but there is no way we cannot say that, okay, I will use this software for 2 hours or 3 hours. So I have to download that software, install it, purchase its key, use it for 2-3 hours, and I have to pay for 1 year license. Okay. So, but because of this cloud computing, it is possible that, okay, I will use that software only for 1 hour, and they will charge for only 1 hour. So that's fine. Yeah. So we have so many devices, and obviously these devices are generating so much data we cannot store on our laptop, and there is no use of it. If I am getting all information about my refrigerator or air conditioner, right, or security camera videos, I cannot store 24 hours recording of my home security camera continuously for 3-6 months on my laptop, right? And obviously it is not possible, or it is not a cost effective sort of thing, solution. So because of these internet connected devices, we are generating a lot of data nowadays. Everything is generating data, and you know that in a day we are sending millions of emails to each other. Out of these millions of emails, obviously 90% are spam. Do you know that? You have one junk or spam folder, right? But you are getting only 1 or 2% in your junk. Actual junk is already blocked by your email service providers. Okay, they are not sending that 90 or 95% junk to your spam folder. Okay, so they have different filters, and so our spam or junk folder is just a last filter, last bucket in which that spam is coming. Otherwise 90-95% spams are already blocked by the SMTP at higher levels, and they are not telling you. Okay, otherwise it would be very difficult that every time you would be logging in your SMTP account or mail account, and there would be 1000 emails, and out of 1000 emails you have to find, okay, this email is coming from NUIG, 999 emails are spam. Then obviously no one would be using email services, right? If every time you have to check out of 1000 that which is spam, which is not spam. So we are generating data. You know that we have millions of tweets every day, right? Same is the case. We have YouTube videos people are uploading, we are consuming, right? We are sending emails, we are generating Facebook post or some other post, right? Similarly, emails are there. So data is everywhere. And obviously when we have so much data, in the next slide we will see how much data we are generating, just an estimate or rough figures. But you know, if we have so much data, then the first problem is storage. And obviously that storage is not enough. You have to retrieve that data very quickly, right? So for example, if, okay, that's fine if Google or Microsoft or Apple is providing you some sort of cloud storage, but what if you click on some file and they say, okay, we will find your file or send you your file after 30 minutes or 50 minutes, then obviously no one would be using that cloud computing, right? See, people are also clapping on cloud computing. Okay, they like it. So we have like so many examples, might be you can see, yeah. So you can see 2.9 million emails people are sending or receiving per second. 2.9 million emails, right? That's a quite big number per second. If you can multiply that number to minutes and hours and then days, weeks, it could be quite big, right? Similarly, in terms of video uploaded to YouTube every minute, 20 hours, right? So these are the different data set we are, same is the case with Google servers. They have 72 data centers, like Google have more than 70 or 72 data centers. When you are searching something on Google, and people are searching so much that they are taking per day 24 petabytes of data, okay, they are processing. So same is the case, 50 million tweets per day on Twitter, right? And same is the case with some other sort of thing. And obviously people are spending 700 billion minutes spent to Facebook each month. Data sent and received by mobile internet user is 1.3 exabytes, and same is the case there are 72.9 items products ordered on Amazon per second. Okay, do you know Amazon has around, in database they have 12 million products. 12 million products. So searching that 12 million, around 12 million products is not easy. Like if someone is trying to search something, then obviously their system should be efficient, so much efficient, so that it could be searched very quickly, okay, out of 12 million products on Amazon. So obviously, what do businesses do with data? The first thing is they have to store it, and they have to access, they should have access, and if that data is sensitive, then obviously they have to encrypt it, right? Do you know GDPR term? What is this? Yeah, it's a EU regulation. In entire EU, it was implemented by law in 2018 that every business should encrypt or should save their personal information about their customers. It's very, very important. If there is something breach of that data, that business could face millions of dollars of fines or euros of fines. Okay, it is possible, and there are so many. Do you know that there is one case going on in EU on Twitter as well, right? I think 500 million euro or something fined on the basis of that GDPR sort of thing. Okay, and recently Twitter has updated their security or some sort of contract sort of thing, so that for EU people only, because of this GDPR. So this GDPR is very important in terms of businesses as well, because obviously that's fine. Facebook or Twitter can what do you say? They can afford 500 million euro fine, but obviously small businesses cannot afford that sort of thing, right? So might be they have to shut down their offices or something. Okay. So in terms of businesses and internet usage, we must consider that this GDPR rule sort of thing, regulation sort of thing. And the main crux of this GDPR is that we have to store, if we are storing or if we are taking personal data of our customers, clients, students, staff, it should be secure. Okay. GDPR has defined what is personal data in terms of race, in terms of religious opinion, philosophical opinions, or even political opinions, right? Some other personal information. So businesses do have to take care of this sort of thing. And then obviously in terms of data, businesses do want to share data, and then they have to process data. Okay. And there are so many things that businesses are doing with data, okay, for marketing purposes or for some other purposes, they are using data. And obviously they are using diverse interfaces. We discussed this sort of thing in the first lecture of this course as well, that we have hundreds of operating systems, hundreds of hardware specifications. Even over the internet, we would face different devices, and these devices have different capacities. Okay, even if this Wi-Fi router is coming from same company, from Cisco or from some other company, but still they would have hundreds of variants in different sort of thing. Okay, so we have diverse interfaces and devices, and because of these different devices or different sort of things, obviously their computing powers are different, right? I cannot expect some smartphone user computing power would be equal to my laptop, or my laptop's computing power would be same as some server, right? So I cannot restrict my users I cannot say too much. Okay, I can restrict little bit, but I cannot say too much that okay, you cannot use this sort of browser or this sort of browser. Otherwise, obviously, if I would be banning Safari or some other Firefox users, then obviously it means that out of world, total 30 or 40% people wouldn't be using my application, right? If I'm making one application only for iOS, it means that I'm losing my clients, Android clients. If I'm making my application on Android but not providing support or application to iOS clients, it means that I am losing iOS clients or potential customers. Okay. So because of this diversity and data generation, obviously cybersecurity and this cloud computing has very you can say that they have different challenges. Okay, so obviously in terms of cloud computing or computation or internet, what is the future? Obviously, how will you work on documents, right? So I talked about this sort of thing. Nowadays, on one document, we need multiple people to work on, and might be they are not sitting in the same geographical location. One is here, one is in Canada, or third one is in Australia, but they are part of one team. They have to work it, and especially if you can consider academia as an example, you can see people all over the world, they are collaborating with each other, right? For example, if my professor is in Australia, then obviously I would be working with him or her, right? And we would be sharing different documents, and might be we have to write one report, and then obviously it is not possible or feasible that every time if I make some 2-3 line changes, I would be emailing him that document. There should be some collaborative tools there. Okay, so this is future. Collaboration tools are there and people are working on it. Industry is making collaboration tools, but still there is a lot of gap is there, right, in terms of requirements and need of the industry. Similarly, get your news and info. In terms of navigation, we know that I know many times students are just standing in front of some building and they cannot tell this is business school or this is computer science. They say, okay, let me check on Google Map, and they say, oh, this one. Okay, so it do happen, like, and that's fine. I think no problem in it. That's fine. If you can find something over the internet, then no need to memorize it. That's fine. So similarly, create, access, store and share media. Netflix is there, right? Very good example, how they are using internet. Similarly, communicate with friends and family. And I think during this COVID or this pandemic, we definitely used Zoom and WhatsApp calls much better, like in terms of last 5-10 years, we haven't used that much just compared to this 2 years, right? So live in an intelligent home. Smart cities is a different concept that is emerging, smart cities. And obviously this intelligent home, we have so many applications and people are trying to install different things in their homes. One example could be in terms of smart homes. Obviously use security cameras so that if there is something fishy or something sort of problem, you can get picture or of that your right. We have so many security cameras available so that we can, even on my mobile phone, I can get I can open my security camera here and I can see, okay, there is no problem around my house, right? And there are so many examples. Especially people are working on electricity consumption sort of thing. They are making smart switches, you know, that even they are installed here. Like if no one is moving, then obviously these lights will go off after some minutes, right? So by this way we can save electricity, right? So this is about intelligent home, and you know, this all is because of the internet. Okay, so So now the question is that how will we manage our data? So we are generating so much data. Now we have to manage data, okay? So what are the options? How we can manage this sort of a lot of data? What is the first option? Who will tell? Basic, that's fine, not advanced option, basic option. Like we have to manage it ourselves, obviously, right? Like we can purchase so many hard disks and we are just storing all the data that we are getting it, right? So we have these three questions, then we will take a break, okay? How will we manage our data? So obviously manage it ourselves. Nowadays it's quite impossible. Like we cannot manage our businesses. When I'm saying our data, it means businesses data, okay, in broader term. So how would you get access to your data wherever you are, okay? So just like a security camera footage, if I am in some other country, let's say I'm sitting in Germany and I want to see security camera data of my home in Galway, then obviously how I can access it. One option could be is that if someone is at my home, I will ask him or her to download that footage from this particular time to this particular time, and then email me or send me over the by sharing that. And obviously it's quite time taken, right? But because of cloud computing, it is possible. And the internet, we will see later on, internet is a major part of cloud computing, because without the internet obviously cloud computing cannot work. So by this way we can access our data. And obviously the last or most scalable option that we have is what if it's managed by someone else. So it's some sort of service. How many of you are producing their own electricity or drilling petrol or gas from their home? No one. Okay. It means that we are taking services from other people. Same is the case with this data and computation sort of thing. We can take services from other people, okay? So we can take a break of 15 minutes, then we will start again. Okay, I think we can start again. So we were discussing that how will we manage our data, right? So one option is that some sort of personal storage sort of thing, but it is time consuming. First option, manage it ourselves, right? And obviously if you have in terms of businesses, it is not possible nowadays that you have to store your own data until and unless your business data is very critical and you cannot take a risk to share that data with someone else, right? So how would you get access to your data wherever you are? One option is that you can take USB of your data, of all of your data with you, or you can access it through internet anywhere, right? And what if it's managed by someone else? So this is important because this is something like as a service, and obviously this service wouldn't be free, right? And it could be some sort of subscription, annual subscription or monthly subscription or even hourly base subscription. So this sort of thing like happened before so many times. We have different ideas, people work on that ideas, innovation sort of thing, right? And because of that innovation, obviously there was some product, and then we are getting that product as a service, right? So for example, in terms of water, or some other utility, it is possible we can drill at our home, or we can get water from some spring or some sort of thing, right? But it is possible that like we can buy it as a product. We can get it from some superstore or some grocery as a grocery item, right? So, or as a service, government is providing as a utility as well. Like in Ireland, we are getting water at our homes or in our premises, right? So it's very similar to this sort of thing: innovation, product, and service. Initially, everything would be launched as a product, but then it would be provided as a service. Same is the case with data computation or data storage sort of thing. Same is the case with electricity. Obviously, we cannot produce, everyone cannot produce its own electricity, right? And they have to, so there is one product which would be buying and maintaining the technology, but we are getting electricity from different service providers. Same is the case with banking solutions. If there were no bank, obviously you have to take care of your own money at your home or at your shop or businesses. But then became traditional banking sort of thing, in which you give your money to the bank, right? And then we can use different banking instruments, and even internet banking is there. And this internet banking is just like a service that we can use to transfer money, or we can pay some sort of online shopping sort of thing. Okay, so so in terms of computation, in terms of storage, so there is something need of similar some sort of service. Okay, and we call this service as a cloud computing. So this is not cloud computing, but this topic is about cloud computing. Okay, so can we define cloud computing? Cloud computing is the transformation of IT from a product to a service. Okay, very short definition, that cloud computing, before, like information technology, we have so many IT products, but because of this cloud computing, now these products are available as a service. Okay, that service could be free. That service, obviously, it couldn't be free. You have to subscribe it for monthly or yearly basis. Okay, but the very short definition of cloud computing is that it is a transformation of IT from a product to a service, just like a electricity product or as a service, or water supply as a product or service sort of thing. So same is the case. We have IT products, buy and maintain the technology. We can still buy different IT products, but if we want to use these IT products as a service, then this cloud computing is the thing that we can use. And technically they are on-demand IT services as a pay-as-you-go basis. Okay, so this is very important aspect of this cloud computing, that for example, if I want to compute something and I know this computation will take only 2 hours, so there is no need to get hardware, install that hardware in your premises in university, and then you have to run all the stuff on it for 2 hours, and then might be you wouldn't have to use that IT product for next 1 year or so. So best solution is that you can purchase, you can buy or subscribe that IT product as a service from some cloud computing service providers. Okay, so this is cloud computing. From Wikipedia we can see cloud computing definition. Cloud computing is the delivery of computing as a service, okay, rather than a product, whereby shared resources, software and information are provided to computers and other devices as a metered service over a network. So just like a taxi meter that you are using, you are going from Galway to, for example, city center to somewhere else, right, west side or something. So you have to pay according to that meter. Same is the thing with cloud computing services. Okay, so anyone have ever used some sort of cloud computing service other than storage sort of thing? Any idea about AWS or some other? Microsoft project name is Azure, right? Azure, or yeah, AWS is from Amazon. So they are metered services, like they will charge you on the basis of hours or per day, okay? And obviously you would be taking that service over the internet, okay? So these are the different requirements for cloud computing, and why we are discussing this cloud computing, because the major requirement of this cloud computing is about connectivity from one location to other location. If you want to send data, obviously you need or require the internet. So you can say that internet is the backbone of the cloud computing. Without internet, obviously you cannot transfer data, right? You can see. Okay. So this internet is very important requirement for cloud computing. Then obviously, other than the internet, we do require some sort of parallel or distributed programming, storage techniques or technologies, virtualization technologies. Okay, fault tolerance. Fault tolerance is that, like, if there is some error, how much that machine can tolerate that error, sort of thing. Okay, this is fault tolerance. Like if there, because we know that over the internet we have hundreds of devices are working. If one device is not working, then what would be the alternative of that path? How we can take alternative? Can we take alternative, or what is the fault tolerance of this link? Okay. So these are the different requirements of cloud computing, and obviously cloud computing is combining different technologies in terms of these internet, Web 2.0, right, and fault tolerance. So this is the combination of different technologies, different IT technologies, and then making or working as a cloud computing. So cloud computing, think of it as internet computing, computation done over the internet. So for example, you have a one device and you can send your data over the cloud computing sort of thing. Computation would be there, and then results will be returned back to you. Okay. So for example, if there is a small business and they need some sort of programming language compilers, Java or Oracle or Python or some other programming languages, if they want to install it, what is the solution? What is the easiest solution? That obviously they can purchase computer, they can install that programming language compilers, and obviously they do require some person who can operate that, who can write some programming code or something. Or the other solution is that instead of purchasing so much expensive hardware, because expensive hardware is expensive, software is not as much as expensive as compared to the hardware. Okay, because if I'm going to purchase this laptop, it would be costly, but if I want to install one software, it could be 100 euro or 200 euro maximum, for example. Okay, so for small businesses, this cloud computing is very helpful, because they cannot invest millions of dollars or millions of euros in computation, but they can spare 1000 euro per month for this cloud computing sort of thing, right? Or no? What do you think? Especially for small businesses, right? They cannot invest millions of euros for some storage or for some computation, right? Or sharing of data, but they can afford, or they can manage few hundred euros per month, right? So that's why this cloud computing is very important aspect or new technology for small businesses as well. And obviously for large businesses, definitely scalability is an issue. And we have one example, that there was one social network, and obviously you wouldn't know that. You know that Facebook was not a first social network. You know this thing, right? Or no?
MySpace?
Sorry?
MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace. Obviously, MySpace was backed by Microsoft, right? Yeah, I think, yeah, MySpace. Orkut was there. And you know, Orchid was backed by Google. Google also tried very, very hard in 2005 to 2010 to overcome this social media sort of thing. And at that time, uh, Facebook was not introduced. Okay, but then Facebook came, and like MySpace or Orchid and Friendster. There was a first social media, very famous was Friendster. They were totally collapsed, and even like Google just shut down their project of that Orchid. They have millions of users at that time, but competition with Facebook was like no one can compete at that time. And we will see, obviously Google and Microsoft were quite big companies. They can afford millions or billions of euros or dollars of investment. But for Friendster, this was the issue. At that time, if they would have cloud computing applications, definitely Friendster was still there in the market by today after 15 years or so. But at that time, there was no cloud computing facilities, so Friendster has to be shut down, or they have to close their business. So for more complete definition, obviously cloud computing is a delivery of computing as a service rather than a product, okay, whereby shared resources and software's information are provided to computers and other devices as a metered service over our network. So same definition, but in terms of Wikipedia definition, where you can see it's very, you can complete analogy between taxi service providers or cloud computing service providers, okay. And we discussed this thing that why cloud computing, obviously the best thing is for businesses is pay as you go economic model, right? Like it's for any business, it's quite difficult to hold their money for something that they don't have to use for next 6 months, right? It's just like some takeaway or some hotel, if they are purchasing some equipment, for example 20,000 euros, and they know it, okay, it would only be used on Christmas, for example, right? For example, they have to make special type of muffins or some sort of thing that are only 99% of sale is only in during the Christmas period. That it means that for rest of the year, for next 11 months, that product or that machine wouldn't be generating any revenue. And it means that for your 20,000 euro are just sitting somewhere in the store, right? So obviously small businesses cannot afford this sort of thing. For that 20,000 euro, might be they can purchase some other equipment that could be usable for whole year, right? And they can generate revenue from that equipment or that machine or tool, okay? So that's why cloud computing is very useful for all sort of businesses, for even big businesses as well, but they are very good for small businesses, because pay as you go service would say that, okay, we will provide this service for 20 days of Christmas or for December only. Okay, you have to pay only 1,000 euro. That's fine for business, because instead of stacking or holding 20,000 euro for the whole year and generating no revenue, that's fine. 1,000 euro per month or for 1 month, they can generate revenue for this month, and then they will return that equipment, or they will unsubscribe from that service in terms of cloud computing. And similarly, simplified IT management. If you are purchasing your hardware, you have to hire people like me to control their hardware. They have to pay 5 peoples. Then there would be some cyber attacks. Then they would have to hire some cyber security people. So 10-20 people would be there for one machine, right? And obviously, so that's why this cloud computing is providing simplified IT management, because if I am taking as a service, I have no concern with cybersecurity, IT management sort of thing. That company which will be providing that IT cloud computing services, they have to hire it. right? So in terms of scalability and quick effortlessly, we discussed this sort of thing, that over the internet and cloud computing we can easily or quickly can get, and there is no scalability issue. If I have, my website is getting customers, 10,000 customers per day, even if my next day, if I'm getting 20,000 customers per day, I can quickly, I have to only do 2-3 clicks to increase my capacity of bandwidth and storage and all the stuff. And I can configure this sort of thing in 5-10 minutes, right? So scalability is not an issue with this cloud computing. So as number of customers are increasing, I can increase my resources. But imagine if you don't have capability, or if you are not using cloud computing. For example, in this lab, if for example in this class, if more students are coming, then we have to arrange more seats and more tables, and obviously you know that this procurement process will take 2-3 months, right? One example could be like, this is the first time in my 5-6 years of teaching that I would have to sit and teach. I cannot sit and teach. But the problem is that because I have to record my voice as well. If I was standing, obviously there is some issue with voice and something, okay? So that's why I'm sitting, because I have to. And then I asked my department to provide me some podium or some dice, and they said, okay, we will procure, and it will take 3-4 months and it will come. I said, okay, no problem, I will use a chair, okay? So requiring hardware or scale, that's why scalability is very, it's a big issue. But in terms of cloud computing, it's quite quick and effortlessly we can do it. Flexible options are there, we can change, we can configure softwares very easily. For example, if I am using cloud computing and if I say I need, for example, Microsoft operating system, Windows operating system, like, but then there is some need that, okay, this particular software cannot run on Windows, and I have 100 machines that I have borrowed from cloud computing. I have to install Linux on it, right? So if I am using cloud computing, I can shift my 100 machines from Windows operating system, Windows, to iOS, right? Or Linux, for example, in 5 minutes, or even in 3-4 clicks. It is possible. So that's why I have flexible options. If I want to increase RAM capacity of my computer over the cloud computing, it will take only 1 minute. But imagine if you have to upgrade your computer from 16 GB RAM to 32 GB RAM. Obviously you have to purchase it, you have to install it, and then it will take a lot of time, right? But over the cloud computing, options are very, very flexible, and only with the help of few clicks, obviously you can easily and quickly you can do. Same is the case with resource utilization would be improved, and same is the case with carbon footprint decreased. So we will discuss this sort of thing, that there are people who are against cloud computing as well, obviously, when you would have data centers. So, but in terms of purchasing sort of thing, if one equipment is shared with 100 people, and other option is that 100 people have to purchase 100 same machines, then obviously this is more environment friendly sort of thing, that you have one device and 100 people over the year is using the same device, right? According to different times. So there are so many applications, high growth applications, and we will see, we discussed this sort of thing, Friendster versus Facebook, and similarly on-off applications in terms of research computing, and aperiodic bursting applications. For example, if there is some mega sale on Christmas on some particular website, if they are getting 10,000 hits, 10,000 users per hour, might be because of that sale, they would be getting 1 million hits per hour. Okay, so this is aperiodic sort of thing, bursting applications. We have so many examples in which many websites were down because of this issue, because you don't have any idea when your customers, like your marketing campaign can be successful, and instead of getting 10,000 users, you can get 1 million users in a day or something. So this is aperiodic bursting applications, seasonal businesses. Okay, so in 2001 Friendster was introduced, and Facebook was introduced in 2006. So both were same social media websites, and obviously it was quite famous at that time, because as such there was no social media was there. But the problem with Friendster was at that time was they cannot keep the growth of their users. They can facilitate 1 million users, but when 1 million users become 2 million or 3 million, they don't have resources, because at that time there was no as such concept of cloud computing. So ultimately Facebook came in 2006, and there are some other factors, because success of Facebook was not easy at that time. They have very, very strong competitors at that time. Microsoft and Google both have 2 products, and there were millions of users who were using MySpace of Facebook and Orkut of Google. Okay, so you can imagine if there is small business, unknown person is coming with an idea, and at that time, but obviously rest is the history. You know that from 2006 to 2021 where Facebook is, right? And then obviously Friendster was closed, and because they cannot handle so many clients at one time. Obviously, if I am going to log in, and if that login is taking 10 minutes, no one would be using that social media website, right? Or even if I am sign in or some sort of thing, if I am trying to post something and it's keep refreshing and I cannot post something in 10 or 20 minutes, then obviously I would be shifted to some other social media. So high growth applications, same is the case here. We have one plugin that its traffic is just like it's getting double because of this plugin after 12 hours for 3 days. So that's why we need some sort of servers, like they could scale from 50 servers to 3,500 servers. And obviously it is because of cloud computing services. Otherwise it was not possible. So aperiodic bursting, we have different examples. When we have 9/11, due to traffic, CNN was down. CNN website was down because everyone was trying to find out the news about that Twin Towers or something, right? Same is the case with Hallmark or Amazon.com in US. Amazon.com, especially in holiday season or some Boxing Day or some sort of thing, they do crash. Same is the case with Dockers, when they have some free trouser promotions, so their website was down. So this sort of thing can be handled by cloud computing, okay? Because you can add your resources just clicking few things. Same is the case for researchers. They do require large scale scientific simulations. You know that in past few years scientists were able to find out protein structure, DNA structure sort of thing. Might be you heard this sort of thing, and it was not possible without very, very, very large scale scientific equipments, right? Because you know that in DNA we have hundreds of GB information that we have to process in one DNA cell or sort of thing. So that's why from DNA we can get history of our forefathers or some sort of thing, that okay, I have a forefather 500 years ago who has some sort of blood pressure issue or some sort, because that history is embedded in our DNA. Okay, but it's not easy to find. We have to compute hundreds of GB of data for one DNA, and you know that for DNA test or sort of thing, they take at least 10-20 days because it's not easy to compute. Okay, so these are the quality in terms of technical challenges of cloud computing, and these challenges are same as the challenges of internet, right? Security is the main big challenge. Like if I am sharing my data, it should be secure, and how is it possible that no one can decrypt that data or some sort of thing? Okay, and same is the case with green computing sort of thing, carbon footprints. A lot of people are there against, but most of the people are tilted towards cloud computing, right? So if we can discuss main players, top 4 providers account for 63% of cloud spend, and we have, for example, AWS is a big name, okay, Amazon, AWS services. So in like they are almost 30% share of that cloud computing, and then we have Microsoft Azure, and then cloud, Google Cloud or Alibaba Cloud sort of thing. But you know, even do you know Google is taking services from Amazon, AWS, okay, for different purposes. Even Google is taking services from AWS. So even we have AWS data center in Ireland as well, in Dublin, and we have a lot of data centers in Ireland, cloud computing data centers, or different data centers in Ireland. And do you know, by 2030, electricity consumption of whole Ireland, if we compare that electricity consumption of Ireland, 70% would be consumed by these data centers. 70% of Irish electricity would be consumed by these data centers. And there are some news, like there are people who are working that there would be electricity crisis in Ireland in upcoming days, because obviously if these data centers are consuming 70% of your total electricity of Ireland, then obviously rest of the 30% would be facing some shortages as well, because this 30% contains your all industries other than data centers, your homes, offices, and all the stuff. Okay, so yeah. So this is AWS Center in Ireland. In the next semester, I would be teaching cloud computing to MSc students. So you people are most welcome to sit in that class as a volunteer. If you want some more information about cloud computing, it's a complete course on cloud computing. So even we are planning to visit that place as a field trip, but in the next semester. So yeah. So this is cloud computing. I think we can stop here. If you have any questions about cloud computing, you can ask. Any question? Any question about this course? Any question about your final exam?
What was question 4 in assignment?
Question 4 in assignment. We solve this sort of thing in the class, but the easiest thing is that like it's about IP subnetting sort of thing.
The one where you did in the board,
So we know that IP address is of length 32. Okay, that mask means first 20 or 21 bits are for network address. So you have to separate out that address. You can search on my on my slides as well. And yeah. It's easy because you have to convert into a binary decimal number into binary first, right? Then it will give you 32 bits because one number is 8 bits, right? If it's not coming 8 bits, you can add 00 before that. So 8 into 4, 32. So first, out of first 32 bits, slash after slash if it's saying 21 or 17 or 19, it means that first 17 bits are network address. Okay. So for out of that 32, that 17 bits are network bits, and obviously when I'm saying that first 17 bits are network bits, it means that other bits would be 0, 0, 0, 0, all zeros till 32. Then you can convert that number back to decimal. That would be a network address. Okay. And how to compute number of hosts? It's quite easy. If I say first out of 32, 17 bits are for network, how many are remaining? Out of 32, if 17 are network bits, then how are remaining? 15. So it means that 2 raised to power 15 hosts are possible, right?